ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Watching sports. I'm Michael Draper, Kyle Castles, and Matt Kirk. You know us all as the dads, and we know you all as our devoted listeners and viewers of the show. And thank you so much for joining us each and every week. And it is, guys, it is episode 38. We are 38 episodes into the show. Very exciting as we are nearing 40, 50, and so on and so forth. It is Sunday, October 25th, 2020. Guys, we are so close to finishing the year of 2020 and moving on to what is hopefully a better year for all of us. And of course, we're joined as always by TJ Burns as well. TJ, evening boys, give us a comment. TJ, thanks for joining us, man. You're our diehard fan. We appreciate you checking us out each and every week and all the comments you give us. So,
and we're only here for TJ. I mean, at least that's why I'm here.
That's absolutely true. You were going to say something, Matt?
I was going to say that TJ's my boy.
You're my boy, Blue. Or TJ, whatever. You know.
Well, he's going to be blue after the Razorbacks put a stomping on his Aggies this weekend.
Ooh, shots fired already. We are a minute and 47 seconds in, and the Matt TJ feud is underway. I like it. I'm here for it, and I can't wait to. I tell you what, if we, if and when the Aggies whip up on the Hogs this weekend, we may have a guest appearance by TJ next week to rub it in. I think that may need to happen. Kyle, what do you think?
If ifs and buts were candy nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas, guys.
Well, that is true. And if the Razorbacks could beat the Aggies, then we wouldn't have TJ on. But he will be on because they're going to beat the Razorbacks, and you're going to have to eat all of the crow and humble pie. And what else is there, Mike, that he can eat?
Oh, I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff.
Hey, Kyle, I can't really hear you because you don't really have a whole lot of room to talk because you also said the Hogs weren't going to beat your Bulldogs. But
well,
yeah, we walked the mud hole in you, and then we stomped it dry.
Look, I'm a Saints fan. I don't know. I don't have a clue what you're talking about.
Yeah. Now, see here, you can't rep them through the bad. I rep my Hogs through the worst.
First off, I am a Mississippi State fan. I am a Cubs fan. I am a Saints fan. I know how to lose. I know how to lose.
That's right. There is no doubt about that. Well, thanks for joining us here on Dad's Watching Sports. So obviously, we're broadcasting live each and every Sunday at 8:30 on the All Access Sports Network, as well as the Dad's Watching Sports Facebook page. But we hope you're checking this out each and every week. If you download a podcast anywhere you do that, please review. Shoot us a subscription, shoot us a rating. We would love to hear from you of what you think about the show. So if you're there, please do that. Guys, we got a lot to talk about. There's a lot of sports going on, including we've got a game 5 going on here in the middle of the 4th, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. But guys, there is some big news out of our Southern Hemisphere, the Kirk household. So Matt, I'm gonna let you get us kicked off with that.
Well, I don't know if you guys remember or not, but when I got back from my vacation over to, I believe it was to Albania, Michael? Where did I go?
Bora Bora, right?
To Bora Bora.
Yeah.
Well, Kyle asked me a specific question if I got my wife pregnant while I was on that trip. Well, I did not get my wife pregnant on that trip, but we did find out we were pregnant on that trip, and we are having a baby boy.
Nice.
And he will be here in the spring. I would tell the listeners, but I don't want to have a group at the hospital of our listeners. I appreciate that, TJ. I'm sure you saw that on Facebook, TJ, about a week ago. But yeah, we're gonna have a little boy. His name is gonna be Ray Zorback Kirk.
Nice.
No, I'm kidding. That's not really going to be his name.
That would be not only awesome, but that would be wife move of the century.
Of all time.
Of all time, yeah. If your wife allowed that.
Yeah, well, the only thing she's going to allow is for me to say, yes, we can name the baby this or we can name the baby that. That's probably about the only say I'm going to get.
We know our role in this. Yes, that's true.
Well, not all of us. My oldest is Wrigley because I am a Cubs fan. So
that's true.
But that's a cool name, though.
It is a good name.
It is. Yeah, absolutely. Well, congratulations, Matt, to you and Mrs. Kirk. That's awesome news, and we're excited for you guys, and we'll continue to keep you all in our thoughts and prayers, especially after he's here and you go from 1 to 2 because, as Kyle and I both know, it's quite the jump.
It's a big jump.
Yeah, it's going to be like taking on all-out blitz on the offensive line. It's not going to be very easy. You have it coming from everywhere.
That's right.
One thing, jailbreak blitz.
yeah. It's and I've got a fun. Well, it wasn't a fun, but I've got a fun story that you guys will think is funny later on in the show about both of kids. And oh my gosh, I'm not even gonna get into it right now. But Matt, one thing that you guys are probably going to want to do if you haven't done so already is get yourself organized, get ready for that second child, get ready for going from a 2-to-1 zone defense to a man-to-man defense. So I don't know if you guys are have fallen victim as I have here, but there is apparently a show on Netflix about organization. It's these two women. They walk into a house, whether it be an everyday Jane and Joe, or they go into like a celebrity, and they organize everything from closets to pantries to kitchens to, I mean, everything. Kyle, has this shown up in your household yet?
Thank goodness it hasn't.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell my wife about this because I know the minute she sees something like that, she's going to go, I got an idea.
Well, not only will she get an idea, but your bank account will slowly start trickling down because of all the organizing things. So as I'm sure you guys have imagined that by now, yes, my lovely bride, who is awesome and amazing and I love very, very dearly, has been watching this show. And don't get me wrong, these ladies are impressive what they're able to do. But now we have like those little clear container buckets of every little thing, and we've got everything in its little proper place. And like I said, Amazon stock went through the roof even further after the Drapers, purchased half of the organizing stuff on there. Matt, have you had the chance to see what this is all about yet?
No, and I actually asked my wife about it while we were sitting on the couch. We were watching The Amazing Race before we were doing the show, which is why I was a little late, or not late, but on time.
Yeah.
But no, she has not even heard of the show. In fact, so please tell your wife to not text mine.
That's right. Oh, absolutely. Well, I know my wife's going to listen to this, and again, honey, I love you, and you're amazing, and you run that great ship here. But she's going to listen to it. She's like, "You threw me under the bus." No, I didn't. It's great. We got everything in its proper place. But let's just say there was a lot of boxes sitting on our.
You know what? I want to speak up. I want to speak up for Mrs. Draper because something needs to be said.
Okay.
I was coming in I'm in our office here, and I'm recording this show, and I looked at my lovely wife and I said, "So are you going to come listen in on the show like she normally does?"
Mm-hmm.
And her response was, "You or the Dodgers." And so I got a problem. Y'all tell me if I'm wrong. I got a problem with her picking the Dodgers over her husband right now.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. Well, let's just put it in this case, Kyle. If the roles were reversed, if the Dodgers were not the National League representative in the World Series and it was the Cubs, and your wife had something to do during this point in time that you could be a part of, would you be watching the game? Take out that you didn't watch the games in 2016 and they ended up winning. But would you watch the game, or would you spend time listening to your bride talk about whatever her hobby is?
Let me just say it this way. That's different.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm sure she feels the same way.
I'll tell you all this. I actually am in the same predicament myself because my wife wants to go to a Halloween party on Halloween, and I don't want to because the Razorbacks play the Aggies at 6:30, and the party starts at 7 o'clock. Well, homeboy ain't playing that because he's going to be cooking some cheeseburgers and watching the game.
Yeah, and we're all getting ourselves in trouble right now.
Look, my Bulldogs are playing Alabama Saturday at 6. Like, we're going to be trick or treating. We are not dealing with watching the ball game.
Yeah, I don't even know if I told you this Kyle, but me and the family, we're going to that game. So I'm going to be there supporting the Bulldogs, dressed up as the mouse from Cinderella as my costume for this year. So yep, don't Gus. Yeah, that's me.
Cinderella.
Yeah, that's me.
Is it a bald rat?
It's a bald rat, but it has a lot of hair everywhere else. Yes.
Okay.
So it fits pretty perfectly. So great dad joke here by TJ. I tried getting organized once and it was a mess. That's pretty good right there.
Well done.
No doubt about it. All right, guys, let's get into some World Series talk as I sit here and watch. The Dodgers are up 3-2 in the bottom of the fourth. Series is tied 2-2. It has been a back and forth series where it seems like the Dodgers have kind of had command for a lot of it, but the Rays just find a way. And that was very evident with game 3 Game 4, where the Rays had really nothing left, and then the bottom of the ninth they get 2 runs. So, Matt, what's your thoughts so far on this World Series? We're tied at 2.
I think that the Dodgers they're up pretty good now. I guess last time I saw it before I came in here, it was 5-1, I think, or 5-0.
It's 3-2.
It was 3-0.
Yeah, 3-0.
Okay, it was 3-0. So anyway, I just really stuttered there. But I think that the Dodgers are going to win tonight, and I think they're going to really put a hurting on them in Game 6. But they have to win tonight. If they don't, then I think the Rays are going to take it.
So, Kyle, you've got a lot riding on it in your household for a multitude of reasons. So tell us a little bit about how's your wife handling this? How are things going? And then the exciting news of Game 6.
So my wife, when it is her team playing, she gets really, really energized, I guess.
It's a good
anxious.
word. Good.
Yeah.
Keep positive terms. The positive terms.
Yes. She is. So when they won the NLCS, her dad went into finding tickets for the World Series mode, and ended up buying tickets for Game 6 for him and her to go to, because they are both, big Dodger fans. So we've been watching this, and it's been a weird series to watch with her, because usually she is on the edge of her seat and everything is the biggest deal. And one play is going to change the whole complexion. And I have to tell her, like, it's going to be okay. Like, yes, it is now 3-2 instead of 3-0, but you still have a 1-run lead. Just calm down. We got a lot of game left.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But there have been a couple games where she's more or less been okay with losing, because she knows the Dodgers need to lose 2 games just to get to a Game 6. So tonight is the first time where she is just on edge like she normally is, and it's fun to watch, I'll be honest.
Oh, sure.
She gets really into it. When the Dodgers scored their first run, we were sitting on the couch watching the game, and she stood up and literally just started jumping up and down.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's good stuff. I'm hoping and praying that the Dodgers win tonight, so that when they go to Game 6, it is a win for the World Championship and not a win to survive. Fingers crossed. But I know they'll have fun. They went to Game 1 of the 2018 World Series, 2018 Dodgers Red Sox, up in Boston. And even with a loss, they really had a good time, and so I'm sure they'll have a good time as well.
I know all of the I'll get to you in just a second. I know all the dads watching, sports fans out there, are rooting heavily for the Dodgers tonight, so they can get an opportunity to see their team win it all. That would be really cool to see that happen. Yes, Matt.
Kyle, you have to tell your wife to go to Texas Live before the game. It's in the parking lot between Cowboy Stadium and the Globe Life World Park or whatever it is, the stadium.
Texas Live.
It's the bar. It's a big bar. They've got like a 1,000-inch TV. I actually went for the Titans Cowboys game for Monday Night Football 2 years ago, and I was a little overserved and ended up getting on the big screen probably for like 4 or 5 times.
Nice.
I had people asking for my autograph at the game. So
nice.
But yeah, it was a good time, and there's a barbecue place in there that is fantastic. They had the best jalapeno cheddar sausage you'll ever eat in your life.
Well, my wife does not eat jalapeno, so she will not be partaking.
Okay, well, she can have the brisket then, because that's a close second to the sausage.
Gotcha.
There we go. TJ says it is a huge bar. It's amazing. Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, guys. Well, obviously, the next time that we sit down and chat for this podcast, the World Series will be over. So we are tied at 2-2. There's only going to be 3 games left. I will go ahead and make my prediction first. I do think the Dodgers end up. I'm going to say 7. I think it goes 7, but I think the Dodgers win. Matt, who you got, and then how many games?
I'm going to go with the Dodgers in 6.
Kyle, are you comfortable potentially jinxing your family here? for the sake of the listeners, man. Everybody's hanging. We've got 100
I-
followers right
I
now
know.
watching this live stream. They want to know what you're
I
thinking.
know. Okay, so here's the deal. Right now, Kershaw's on the mound for the Dodgers. Dodgers are up 3-2, no outs, runners on the corners, bottom 4. I'm going to just, for my sake, honestly, say the Dodgers get the win tonight. Maybe not for my sake, but at least she'll be in Texas, not in Tennessee. Dodgers with a bullpen game in Game 6. The Rays find a way to win it. And then Walker Buehler comes out in Game 7 and does what he did in, Game 4? And shuts down the Rays and the Dodgers in 7.
Okay.
God, I hope I didn't just screw that up.
And now we need everyone to pray.
Please.
Seriously, pass our excitement on to Lauren and her dad. I know that'll be awesome. And tell them to post some pictures and tag our website and stuff, because we want to keep up with them on that trip, and hopefully it'll be good for them. So, guys, we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we got some college football and NFL to talk, so we'll get to that, and we got a lot more. We will be right back on Dad's Watching Sports. Y'all stick with us. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Dad's Watching Sports podcast has some exciting news for you. You guys have heard us talk about the RTF Sports Network. You can check out our show there, streaming each and every week on their Facebook page. And, of course, our podcast on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. Well, the RTF Network is rebranding to the All Access Sports Network. We're super excited about this and looking forward to providing our listeners all access to the world of sports, and in our case, dad life. Stay tuned for more information about the All Access Sports Network. And we're back here on Dad's Watching Sports. Michael Draper, Kyle Castles, Matt Kirk, as always. We thank you for joining us each and every week. And if you're checking us out here live on the stream, shoot us a comment. Let us know if you have something that you want to ask us. Feel free to do that. If you got a comment that disagrees with everything we're saying, please do that, because we know that we are not right half the time, but half the time we are. So that's all that really matters. So, guys, let's get into some college football talk. It was an exciting weekend, some really good games kind of across the board. Actually, before we do that, Matt, I'm going to put you on the spot and let you know next week we are going to decide the donation foundation for your donation, or all of our donations, to go to. Any last thoughts on that, or where you would like to see your money going to?
Man, I just wanted to go to people that will benefit from it. People that are impacted heavily, people that are in need of money. I'm happy to give, as long as it's not to the Draper Kids School Fund. Then I'm happy to give it.
They're unfortunately, they may be studious like their father, so they're going to need as much money in that school fund as possible, just to be able to continue to move on. But we'll have an update on that next week. All right, guys, let's get into. Go ahead.
I have one question, Michael.
Yeah.
So you said that that we were right half the time. Were you right by saying that, or were you wrong by saying that we're right half the time?
I don't know, man. That's for the listeners to decide. It is a mystery.
Okay.
Facts are optional on the show, especially when it comes to like actual stats and factual information about sports. We just kind of throw out whatever we want. We're dads. We're busy. We don't get a chance to watch everything.
Exactly.
So it happens. All right, guys. NCAA football this weekend. We got the Big Ten back. There were some fun games. Kyle, any initial thoughts on this past weekend's college football games?
Look, it's college football, and the best thing about college football is the upsets, right? So the biggest one of the weekend, Indiana over Penn State. Welcome back, Big Ten. One of your heavy hitters went down to Indiana. I don't think it really matters. I think it's Ohio State and everyone else in that conference.
Yeah, without a doubt. Matt, what about you?
I think that Kyle kind of took my biggest my biggest take is that Indiana won. They won on a field goal. Poor Jalen Waddle from Alabama. You got to feel for that guy. The broken ankle out for the year. And I think it's clear cut at this point that Clemson is easily the best top team this year. They're definitely the one, and I think they're just going to continue to get better as they get more battle tested here. But I think they're going to win it this year in a landslide.
Yeah, Clemson is. I think. I wouldn't say they're just head over heels better than everybody else, but they are. man, they are really good, and they've looked the part kind of every which way. I didn't get a chance to watch a whole lot of football this weekend. I had a lot going on, but definitely saw some kind of surprising results. Kyle, you mentioned Indiana knocking off Penn State, whereas Penn State kind of, they had a lot of people talking that they might challenge Ohio State in the Big Ten. For my Wildcats, it was an abysmal game on Saturday. We're not even going to get to that. Guys, did you happen to see the pictures that kind of surfaced this past week of Coach O? The Tigers got a big win on Saturday, just demolishing South Carolina. But Coach O living his best life. Pull picks, other picks, newly divorced Coach O living his best life, Matt.
Well, I tell you, he's not just putting together scoring drives on the field. Sorry, that was bad. But anyway, I will say, though, that I thought the funniest comment that I saw, I can't remember who it was, but they tweeted, they said, Coach O and his niece. And it's like, that they were – not that he was, shacking up with his, with his niece like that. It wasn't bumping uglies with his niece. But that they were – that he was just being a loving uncle. It's not that funny, Michael, so calm down.
Should we Kyle, do we need to mute Matt for part of this thing?
I don't. Where did we go wrong here?
It's my fault. I was the one that brought up the topic. I should have just never even brought it up. Well, we go from somebody having a great week to two individuals maybe not having as great of a week. So it's been reported that I can't even get through this. It's been reported that the University of Tennessee fired their defensive line coach. Well, we know they fired him, but it's being reported that he was actually fired in the middle of the game against Kentucky 2 weekends ago. So he had a rough week. And then you've got your man from CNN and the New York Post who was let's just say got a little overzealous on a Zoom call.
He got caught red-handed, if you know what I mean.
He got caught red-handed. Kyle, if you're talking about who had the worst week, who we got, man? Is it getting fired in the middle of a game or another option?
God. Okay, so it's always worse to get fired on live on TV like that. That's because a CNN guy, like, it's not being seen. Like, just the people that work, I guess, at CNN saw it. It's all out there, and like, oh, he did it while he was on a Zoom call, and he thought he had his camera off or whatever he thought. It's not something seen by everyone.
It was a private showing, Kyle.
Okay, just go to Matt. Just go to Matt. He's got jokes. Let him go.
Well, I don't know if you guys saw Bill Meyer, who hosts the show Real Time, basically said, you think you're grossed out by what Jeffrey Toobin did. I've had to shake his hand before, which I thought was
okay. Fine, I'll say it. Look, we've all been there. We just don't do it on Zoom.
No, we have not all been.
We just don't do it on Zoom.
Well, it was a pretty embarrassing week for my man.
And yet we still shake hands.
That we do. Well,
I don't anymore. It's elbow only.
Air 5.
If you can do that with your elbow, then I think you deserve it.
That's right. All right, guys, let's get into a couple of picks here for this upcoming weekend.
What kind of picks are you talking about?
I'm talking about the kind of
Matt.
All right, Matt.
Mute. Thank you.
Matt's muted. So I'm going to pull up here's our current standings and who we've actually got for these games this weekend. But if you look at the standings, Kyle, I got to hand it to you. 18-3, you're doing pretty well. Now, Matt, you did not get to pick last week. You weren't on the show, so in fairness to you, you have been. You're just a little bit behind there. I'll remove our ticker here so everybody can see my lowly score at 11-10.
I tell you, I'm behind, but you're still behind me, Cowboy.
I am very behind. Which again, I said facts are optional. Just because you host a sports show doesn't mean you actually have to know a whole lot about sports. So we've got some decent games coming up this weekend. These are really the best that I could pull from. There's not a whole lot out there. So you got Ohio State and Penn State A&M and Arkansas, Michigan, Michigan State, LSU and Auburn. We won't go line by line on these games. You can clearly see if you're watching the screen who we pick. All of us pick Ohio State. Matt picks Arkansas. Kyle and I pick A&M. We all pick Michigan, and then Kyle and I pick LSU. Matt picks Auburn. Anything stand out in those games, Matt, other than your Hogs? I'm sure.
I think that me picking Auburn over LSU is going to set me apart this week. Obviously, because that's besides the Arkansas game, that's the only other one I picked differently. Yep. But I think that Auburn is going to give LSU all they want. I feel like Auburn might be picking up just a smidge of steam, and I think that win over Ole Miss, scoring like that, going forward on fourth down, showed a lot of marbles. Unfortunately or fortunately, they weren't seen on a Zoom call, like our boy Tubin did.
That's right.
But yes, I think that they're picking up steam.
Kyle,
I think LSU's found their quarterback. I don't think it's Miles Brennan, and forgive me, at the top of my head, I can't call the young kid's name. I think he's a true freshman or a redshirt.
Yeah.
True freshman.
Mm-hmm.
Highest rated quarterback in Louisiana last year. He came in, and I feel like that offense just kind of took off. Miles Brennan, he waited his time and everything was there, but there's a reason they had to go out and get. They went out and got Joe Burrow to transfer in. They didn't see Miles Brennan being the guy, and then eventually his time came, and I still don't know if they see him being the guy. So. I'm just going to keep talking as Matt does whatever it is he's doing right now.
Well, we pulled Matt up on the big screen here to show everybody. I wasn't sure what was going on there.
I'm on mute.
Matt was going on a tubing.
But we are not Zooming, y'all. We're not on Zoom.
But I don't think Auburn can stay with LSU if they can only put up 28 on that Ole Miss defense. They're not going to put up 28 against LSU, and I think LSU will outscore them. I thought the Michigan offense looked pretty good against Minnesota, so we'll see how that goes. And then Penn State doing what they did. I guess they could come back and say, "Oh, we were looking past them at Ohio State," and surprise me. But I don't know. Ohio State looked like a machine.
Yeah, that they did. It's LSU. Is TJ Finley, I believe, was the kid's name.
There you go. Yeah,
but yeah, LSU looked pretty impressive. I know it's South Carolina, but we'll see. TJ thinks A&M actually loses by 10. Matt, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's going to be much closer than that. I think it's going to come down because these games have came down to one score for the last 8 years or so. Is that right, TJ? One score. Well, except maybe 2 of the games. I think 2 of them were blowouts. But in the last 8 years, 6 of the last 8 have been decided by one score or less.
Was it an Arkansas A&M game maybe 2 years ago that went to 7 or 8 overtimes?
No, that was Ole Miss, Arkansas. But the Arkansas A&M has gone into as many as 3 overtimes. Last year it went into 2. We had Ben Hicks, pick six Hicks as they called him. He could not get it done for us on a fourth down pass that caused us to lose the game in overtime.
There you go. Guys, so the Big Ten has joined the party, and we've finally got a chance to see some of those teams in action. So I want you to give me your top 10 as of today. If you want to throw Pac-12 teams in, you can. You're more than welcome to. But, Kyle, your top 10 as of right now in college football.
You want to go 1 to 10 or 10 to 1?
Man, you just – this is your show. You do whatever the heck you want.
All right, so I'm going to go 10 to 1, and I'm not going to throw Pac-12 teams in because I haven't seen them play.
I like that.
But I will go starting at number 10, an undefeated BYU team. I like what's happening out there, and because of the way the whole thing sets up, they might even stay undefeated through the year.
Yeah.
At number 9, I got Florida. Number 8, I got Texas A&M. Number 7, I got Cincinnati. I really like that team. 6, I got Georgia. 5, I got the best team in the Big 12, which is Oklahoma State. 4, I got the undefeated Irish from Notre Dame. 3, I got Ohio State, and that's just because they played one game and not as many as the top 2. At number 2, I have Alabama. At number 1, I have Clemson, and really for me, that's 1A and 1B. I think Alabama beats Clemson. If you watched the Clemson game, the first half with Syracuse, it was close. I mean, it was 24-21 at one point. With Syracuse had the ball in the third quarter, on a drive that would have put them up, and then Clemson does what Clemson does. It has a 16-minute span there where they just completely blow the game wide open. They can't play like that against Alabama. So I think Alabama could beat Clemson, but until, oh my God, Max Muncy just crushed a home run with a full count, 2 outs in the 5th. Anyways, sorry about that. I think Alabama can beat Clemson, but I also think Clemson has probably more talent on the field on both sides of the ball in Alabama.
I've got a lot of the same top 10. I do have really one difference in a couple of different spots. So I've got A&M at number 10. I'm not overly impressed with them, but I think when you really kind of look across the rest of college football, I think they're just better than a lot of teams. And I got them at 10. I've got Cincinnati at number 9. I've got Georgia at number 8. Again, I just think quarterback play really prohibits them from being, from my standpoint, any higher than that. The Cougars of BYU at number 7. Kyle, I went against Oklahoma State this past weekend. I'm not going to do it right now. I've got them at number 6. The Boom Booms Cowboys got them going in at number 6 there. Number 5, I've got Wisconsin. I don't know if you guys checked out any of that game. I saw a little bit of their game. I believe it was on Friday night. Wisconsin looks really good. Now, the thing about Wisconsin is their quarterback, who came out and just lit up over the weekend, had tested positive for COVID. Luckily for them, I think they've got Purdue and maybe Illinois their next 2 games, so they should be fine without him before they get ready. I think, and they don't have to face Ohio State unless it's in the Big Ten championship game. So I got Wisconsin number 5. Number 4, I got Notre Dame. Number 3, Bama. Number 2, Ohio State. I think they're just more complete right now. And number 1, I've got Clemson. Matt, your top 10.
10, I've got the Ducks from Oregon. Number 9, I got A&M. I got 8, Florida. I got 7, Wisconsin. I got 6, the Arkansas Razorbacks. No, I'm kidding. I put Notre Dame at 6. I got the Oklahoma State at 5. You can't not put the Oklahoma Waterfall, Mr. What's his name? Their coach,
Gundy.
Yeah, Gundy. You can't put him outside the top 5 when he's got a team like this. Chuba Hubbard is a beast. You got Georgia. I think that they have got their quarterback situation kind of figured out. I think they're going to make a push here. Then I've got Ohio State at 3. I can't put a team that LeBron James roots for in the top 3 or in the top 2. So I got Bama at 2, and I got Clemson at 1. I think it's a clear cut that Clemson is by far the best team.
We're going to go to a break here in just a second. Before we do, one thing I wanted to bring up is, we're several weeks in. I know the Big Ten just joined, but we're several weeks into the season. People are starting to chirp a little bit about Heisman and who the Heisman favorites are. To me, honestly, it's a 3-horse race, and it's the quarterbacks of the top 3 teams. I don't see how, you got Trevor Lawrence, you got Mac Jones, you got Justin Fields. I think they're the 3 clear-cut favorites. I think they're the 3 that are going to end up in New York. And I think one of those will end up winning it. Matt, anybody else stand out, or are those the 3 that you've got as well?
Well, you can't really count out Travis Etienne at Clemson either. I think he is a workhorse and he is a monster. I think that he had 44 yards on 11 carries and a touchdown. He didn't carry a whole lot, but again, they were in a blowout. Still, that's averaging 4 yards a carry there. It's not going to blow your socks off, but in the big games, in big moments, he shows up. And then I think that the quarterback at BYU also is going to be a dark horse in this race.
That's a good call, Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything Matt said. Those, if I had to pick a dark horse, I think those are the 2. Is also in forgive me, I don't remember the kid over at SC. Once the Pac-12 gets going, if he can just light it up and beat Oregon and kind of run the table at SC, any quarterback at SC that could maybe stay perfect gets into that conversation. Look, it's Trevor Lawrence's trophy to lose. I mean, he's the guy. Mac Jones is playing really well. Justin Fields has come out and play well. But I think it's Trevor Lawrence's to lose. And I don't think he's done anything yet to lose it. But I also don't feel like there's been anybody that you just look up and go like, man, that guy is killing it. Other than, one-offs here and there. So as far as consistently just showing out, I don't feel like anybody's done that. So until then, I'm going to keep my money on Trevor Lawrence.
Really quickly before we go to break, just one word answer between the two of you, and I don't know what's going on at the bottom of that screen. Had he not gotten hurt, could Jalen Waddle have ended up in that conversation and made it to New York?
No.
Yes.
All right, we'll be right back. We're going to talk NFL after this break. We'll be back on Dad's Watching Sports.
Coming up next week on Dad's Watching Sports, the guys recap the winner of the 2020 World Series and what a 2021 baseball season will look like. Plus, we'll talk football, and we'll be joined by Bobby Barzy of Faux Data to talk all things dad life and dad attire. We'll see you next week on Dad's Watching Sports.
We will see you next week. God, you okay there, man?
Yeah. I
like
actually was about to yawn.
You were like mid-yawn when we came back. That was,
When we came back, I tried to hold it in.
all right. Well,
Hey,
at least
Kyle, there's this button called the mute button where if you push that thing, the listeners can't hear it.
You know what?
I'm like
glad-
bears over there.
I'm glad you know about that because we've been listening to you breathing like daggum Darth Vader all freaking night.
Luke, I am your father.
To those of you that are not checking out the live stream that are listening to the podcast, when I said I don't know what's going on at the bottom of the screen, Matt was, I don't want to say groping, but he was definitely caressing
He was
himself. And so,
Whoa. No, now you're making me sound like I'm pulling a tube in here. That was not what I was doing.
No. Matt was
My chest. I was
Matt
not groping my chest. I was scratching it, and Michael assumed it was groping, but you don't assume.
No. Matt was using 2 of the 3 C's of foreplay. There was cupping and there was caressing. I didn't see any cradling, but the cupping and there was cupping and there was caressing of the man boobs.
No, I was scratching them, y'all. I was scratching them. They itched. I got the under boob sweat right now.
there was a lot going on. You were leaned back. You were into it, man. It made me really uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie. So, all right. Speaking of uncomfortable, a lot of good NFL games that did not keep you uncomfortable probably today going on. In the NFL, guys, there was a shootout between the Browns and Bengals, which always makes for fun, and 2, exciting young quarterbacks there. The Titans really rallied after falling way back in a hole to the Steelers. They rallied but fell short, going to 5-1. The Steelers moving on to 6-0. The Bucks keep on winning and the Pats keep on losing. Kyle, thoughts on this week in the NFL and what you saw, liked, didn't like, whatever.
Yeah. So Saints fan. Saints won. We won. We beat. Whoever we beat. The Panthers. Teddy Bridgewater had a great game. Poor Teddy Bridgewater. He's had a pretty good season, and that defense just, as bad as the Saints defense is, I don't know the Panthers defense isn't worse. The only time this year Drew Brees been able to throw the ball downfield. And I love seeing my Saints win, but dadgum if Tom Brady isn't playing down there in Tampa in the same division. What they did to the Raiders today, especially there in the second half, I mean, just poured it on.
It's the GOAT, man. The GOAT.
Well, it's that to some degree, but that defense, man, that defense in Tampa is just insane. And
I'm put up 45 points.
Yeah, but I mean, the defense scored at least one of those. Which, granted, that's still 38. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut on Tampa a little bit, but look, I love Bill Belichick. I think he's the greatest coach of all time. But when you are having to pull the guy that you've decided this is going to be the guy to lead my team for Jarrett Stidham, maybe Brady's better than I thought. I can't believe I said that.
There you go. Matt, any thoughts for you on this week in the NFL season so far?
Well, I tell you one thing. I think there is disaster in the Big D going on right now. The Cowboys.
Not the first time you've heard that, right?
Disaster going on in Big D. There's disaster from the Big D. Because the Cowboys are just terrible this year. They're not able to beat anybody. That's why there's disaster in instead of from, because they haven't beaten anybody. But the Cowboys, they, Dalton's going into slide, and some punk from the Washington football team came in and hit him in the head and just knocked him out cold. And, I think that guy's probably going to get fined, and he might even get suspended. But that really sucked because we got Mr. James DiNucci from James
Ben DiNucci.
Ben DiNucci. So he's been DiNucci for his whole life. But he came in and he just really sucked. So I don't know what's going to happen with the Cowboys. I think it might be time to go pick up Colin Kaepernick.
We're muting Kyle. I think Kyle needs CPR right now. That was good, Matt. Yeah, man, the Cowboys, and we'll get into the NFC East in just a second. But my God, man, that whole division is just a train wreck, and they're kind of leading the charge. So, guys, one thing that came out over the week before this weekend's games was in Miami, it officially became Tua time. And a lot of debate about this, Matt, because Fitzgerald had played reasonably well. The Dolphins are at 500.
Hold on. Who's Fitzgerald?
Or, I'm sorry, Fitzpatrick. I was
okay.
I don't know where Fitzgerald. Again, man, facts are optional.
Fitzgerald, former Mississippi State.
Nick Fitzgerald, that's right. Fitzpatrick has played relatively well. I mean, and they decide to go to Tua after basically he has one series at the end of the game. They got a bye week this week to really get him prepared. But were you surprised to see them pulling the trigger so fast and going with Tua?
It's time for it's time for the Cowboys to go for Mr. Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think they need to trade for him, but Tua time, I think they are going to unleash him now. I don't know why, since they were starting off so hot there. Fitzpatrick scored, 30 points last week or maybe more. And in my opinion, that was not very smart, but I guess they feel like Tua is ready. He completed his first 2 passes last week, went 2 for 2, so he threw for 1,000. So we'll see if he keeps it up.
Kyle, I mean, it'd be one thing if the Dolphins were the Jets and they hadn't won a game all season and they were, tanking to get, whatever pick they're not going to need a quarterback, but they're 3-3 and
that AFC East is not. I mean,
wide open.
The Bills are what, 4-2,
5-2, I think.
5-2 now. Okay,
yeah.
But still, I mean, you're what, 2 games back of the Bills,
right?
And I think Fitz gives you a better shot at winning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think, Matt, I get why you would want your Cowboys to come in and grab up Fitzgerald apparently, but the Dolphins don't need to do that. I think Fitz is a great guy to learn from, considering he's been everywhere and done everything. Tua can, from what I was hearing, Tua would go find him the minute he came off the field and started asking questions. What do you see him? What is all that? I don't understand it, unless the Dolphins just don't want to have a shot at winning the division. I don't know.
Is there any chance whatsoever that Tua comes in? I mean, you got Joe Burrow is playing really well for a much worse team.
Look, that might be, the reason, I don't want to say the reason, but at least one of the reasons that the Dolphins are doing what they're doing. They look over and they see Joe Burrow, who is, throwing the ball well and scoring a lot of points. And he didn't end up getting the win today, but I mean, he did about everything he could do to win. Mm-hmm. And maybe Tua can do the same, but I don't think Tua is Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow was a pro quarterback last year in college. He was a graduate kid and everything was online, and he just sat in meetings with his coaches all day long.
Yeah. So when we're in week 17 and this regular season is over, the Dolphins probably aren't in the playoffs. We'll finish this sentence for me, Kyle, and then Matt. Tua's rookie season was.
I hate to be this negative guy, but Tua's rookie season was short because I think he gets hurt.
Matt?
I don't think it's going to be short. I think it's going to be a success. I think they're going to end up going probably going to say 10-6 with Tua. or not. Yeah, I think they'll go 10-6. I think they're going to win 7 of their next 10.
Wow.
That's a big statement, but they have a lot of talent around him, and I feel like that he is. He's going to be He's going to be. Excuse my French here, you guys. It's going to be in English, but if you know what I mean, he's going to play pissed off. He's going to play out of his mind. He's going to come in throwing 7 kinds of smoke like you, me, and Dupree, and he is going to really put a number on that division because they don't have Brady to deal with.
Yeah. Well, as somebody, we all follow SEC football pretty closely. We saw, Tua come in that national championship game, make a name for himself, really be a guy who, yes, he played for Alabama, who's kind of the ultimate villain for all of us. But I don't think any of us can really sit back and say you can't not like the kid. Seems like a great kid. He's a hard worker. So I think he'll do well. I think his season will be incomplete because I don't know. I'm like Kyle. I don't know that he'll get all the snaps for the rest of the year. But I look forward to. Yeah,
Mike, just a thought. So we saw what happened to Cam today. Is Tua automatically the second best quarterback in that division behind Josh Allen? Because we know it's not Sam Darnold.
I would say, but see, I don't even know if he's the best quarterback on his own team. So
I understand,
but yeah, I mean, but then he might be the best quarterback in that league.
We haven't seen it. I understand, but when you're talking about just the starting quarterbacks, and he's now the starter. I don't know that he's not the second best starting quarterback in the AFC East right this moment.
And I think if you're talking about what you've seen over his career, I think he's the best. Just in terms of what he has done collectively in his career, I think.
Yeah, but what you do in college doesn't turn into anything in the pros. Josh Allen's done more in the pros, so Josh Allen's the best in that.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, guys. You can say he is the best left-handed quarterback in that division.
I think you can say he's the best left-handed quarterback in the league.
That's very true.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, we're going to skip through a little bit of this. One thing I wanted to get really quickly is we talked about Heisman. Any early MVP favorites? I mean, it seems like a lot of people are on the Russell Wilson train for good reason. I mean, he's played really well. The Seahawks are undefeated. Any other thoughts, Matt? You have any other candidates for early MVP?
Man, I tell you, MVP, I think, honestly, it's probably going to be – it could be Kyler Murray. It could be Hopkins. It could be it's either Kyler Murray or DeAndre Hopkins, in my opinion.
Bold statement. Okay. Kyler, interesting.
Yeah. No, that's not true. But I think Russell Wilson is definitely on top. I don't think there's any question. I think Aaron Rodgers is right there. I think if Aaron ends up, if it was undefeated, they'd be kind of 1A and 1B. But I think it's 1-2 now. I'll give you a little bit, and I know I'm a Saints fan. Everybody's gonna call me a homer, but if you just watch what he's been doing, I think the first non-quarterback person to get any love should be and will be Alvin Kamara. He's kind of carried the Saints to our 4 wins this year.
Yeah. All right. So we briefly talked about the NFC East, or what people were saying is the NFC least. Somebody's got to win that division. So Washington, or Philadelphia's 2-4-1. Dallas and Washington are both, 2-5. And then the New York Football Giants are 1-6. Somebody's got to win the division. I guess the best team is Philadelphia. If you had to make a prediction right now, Matt, your Cowboys, can they right the ship? Or who do you think even walks away with that playoff spot?
With the team as is, I would say no. In my personal opinion, and you saw it today, which I know the Cowboys' offensive line is battered, but the Washington football team has 5 former first-round picks on their defensive line, including Chase Young, and they can get after the quarterback. And I think that's going to be the difference maker. It helps out their defense. Plus, in their defensive backfield, they got Cam Curl, former Arkansas Razorback that's playing early. I think he is also going to make an impact. But I think the Washington will end up squeaking that out that division. And Riverboat Ron will be putting all his chips out on the table all in once again.
Who would have really thought that we would be having this conversation this far into the season of like somebody's going to win this? I mean, it seems like everybody was kind of on board with the Cowboys, and I mean, I know the Dak injury, but I mean, they weren't good before that. And
Well,
so,
I mean, look, 2 starting offensive tackles are out for the season. Zach Martin's out for a while with a concussion. What was the best offensive line in football a few years ago has just been decimated. And as good as Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott and Amari Cooper and that crew are, if you don't put an offensive line in front of them, football is not basketball. Football is not baseball. Football is not hockey, where if you have, a hot goaltender in hockey or the best player in the world playing for you in basketball, they can just take over a game. Like, one player can't take over a game in football. You have to have help.
right.
A pitcher can win a game for you in baseball. Like, you got to have help. And so it doesn't matter without that offensive line, and the Cowboys can't play defense. I mean, they gave up 200 yards on the ground to the Washington football team. Matt, that's a heck of a pick, and I'm not going to five games, right? Over 200 yards.
Yes.
Yeah. I thought that, but I didn't have it written down, so I didn't want to say it. Look, I picked Cowboys to get to the Super Bowl out of the NFC, but obviously that's not happening. It's going to be really interesting because the Cowboys are going to be picking early, and what are they going to be looking for that early? Penei Sewell might be a big-time pick for them.
Yeah, Matt.
Kyle, I'll tell you this, too. The offensive line of the Cowboys is actually more injury-riddled than what you thought. You have to remember they had probably the best center in the NFL on their team, Travis Frederick, who retired, and then they're actually on their 3rd left tackle at this point.
Yeah.
So they are just up Crack Creek, no paddle. The right tackle's gone. The center was actually hurt for 2 games. I believe he's back now. He might not be. But so
was it Tyler Biadasz? Was that the?
Yes.
Yeah, I did like him coming out of Wisconsin, but it's fine.
Yeah, they're just trying to get another Travis Frederick because he's from there. But anyway, so that offensive line is just completely battered, man. They're just having a bad year.
Yeah.
TJ says, and a big if, Washington wins the division, does Rivera win Coach of the Year? I mean, fighting cancer and still coaching speaks volumes of his character. It's got to, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's if Washington wins the NFC East, I don't care if they win it at 7-9 or maybe they're one of the ties. I don't remember, but if they win it at 7-9, I still give Ron Rivera the Coach of the Year because, good God, he's got nothing in there other than that pass rush, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think barring Pittsburgh or Seattle going undefeated, I think that's definitely a good case. And I think, people would want to do that as well, just because of what he's having to deal with off the field for sure. So, guys, let's move to a new topic. So it came out last week that legendary hockey announcer, broadcaster, Doc Emmerich is retiring. If you've watched the NHL playoffs anytime over the last decade, 15, 20 years, Doc's voice because it is synonymous with the National Hockey League. And the guy just does such a tremendous job. I mean, it's watching a game that he calls it's just a little bit more fun because he does that. So it led me to the question of thinking, like, who are those guys that you just automatically sync up with a sport? You hear their voice and you think, okay, this is the sport that I'm watching. Like, you could have a blindfold on, you hear their voice and think, okay, this is the sport that's on the TV. So I thought let's list our top five in that regard. So Matt, I'm going to come to you first. Who is your top 5 broadcasters in terms of their voice being associated with a sport?
I'm going to go Dick Vitale with 5. Then I'm going to go with Joe Buck and Troy Aikman at 4. And then I'm going to go with Vern Lundquist at 4 or at 3, I guess now. Then I'm going to go with what's his name here, Marv Albert in the NBA. I did like him at the NBA. And then, of course, at number 1, you got Chris Berman.
Nice, Kyle.
So I guess I'll go 5-1 as well. I got Doc Emmerich, NHL. I mean, you can't hear that voice and not see a black puck on the white ice. Number 4, I got Keith Jackson, welcoming us to the Rose Bowl. I mean, I can still hear him doing all that. But Keith Jackson with college football, especially out west. I got Dickie V at 3 with college basketball. Vin Scully, for Major League Baseball. I'm a Cubs fan. I wanted to put Harry Carey, but Harry was just Cubs. When you're talking about baseball, it's Vince Scully. It's not Harry Carey. And then the most influential broadcaster, play-by-play color man ever is John Madden, right? With the NFL.
Yeah, that's John's. That's who I had as my number 5. I had John Madden. I thought, I think the video game adds to that without a doubt. I think it adds to that without a doubt there. But I've got him as my number 5. My number 4. I've actually got good old JR from professional wrestling, because anytime you hear that guy's voice, you know that there is somebody
Stone Cold,
exactly, or somebody's about to get put through a table, or somebody just died. Number 3, Kyle, you mentioned this, and I've got Keith Jackson with college football, one of my favorite college football announcers, or just announcers of all time. Number 2, I've got Doc Emmerich, and then number 1. Number 1's got to be Dickie V, man. I mean, there is nobody who is a cultural icon through the diaper dandies, and it's awesome, baby. He's a PTP.
Serious? John Madden has a video game that makes him a cultural icon.
It does no.
This is ridiculous.
Because people know him for the video game, not for announcing.
You're a basketball guy, not a football guy. That's why your list goes the way it does.
No.
Okay, so I got a question, Michael. The last time John Madden was on the cover of Madden, what was he doing?
What was he doing?
Yeah.
Was he drawing up a play, right?
He was sitting in the broadcast booth.
He was announcing. It was Madden 2000.
No.
It was Madden 2000. Do you anybody remember the first player that was on the cover of Madden? Was it Madden 01?
Dante Culpepper?
Eddie George.
Eddie George. Okay, nice.
A Tennessee Titian.
That's right. Well, good deal. All right. We're already a little bit over here. Let's see. I'm going to move through a little bit of this stuff. We'll talk very briefly. NBA faces and new places. We'll go through some coaching. So we did have some coaching changes going in the NBA. Tyronn Lue's the new Clippers coach. He replaced Doc Rivers, who's now in Philly. Billy Donovan ended up in Chicago. Stan Van Gundy in New Orleans. So, guys, you see all those coaches, or there may be another one that you've got. Who do you feel like is the best fit for their new team, and we should see the kind of most results out of those list of coaches?
I like. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
All right. I like Billy D in Chicago. I don't think anybody wants to go try and take on that Clippers team. It felt disjointed. It felt it didn't feel like a team. And I think that's why they had to get rid of Doc, and I don't blame Doc. I think it's the personalities they have there. So give me Billy D in Chicago.
Matt.
Well, I was going to go with that myself, but I guess now I'm not really going to. I do like Stan Van Gundy to the Pelicans. I think he's going to be pretty solid. I hate that that I'm going to have to see that 7 times a year with the Mavericks, but that pick and roll offense could be well for Zion and them. So we'll see what happens. That was made famous with Dwight Howard with the Orlando Magic. But I do think that the Clippers are completely overrated. I think their team's full of a bunch of idiots. I don't think they're going to do anything. I think that Tyronn Lue being added to that mix is also a disaster, because Tyronn Lue couldn't coach his way out of a paper bag.
Well, we just lost a bunch of our Clipper players that listen to our podcast, so thank you for that, Matt. Calling them idiots, we appreciate that. But we still got the Lakers. We've got the good team out of LA that still listen. I think what will be really interesting to see is how Doc Rivers tries to work his magic in Philly. You guys talked about the personalities in LA. Well, he's got Embiid and Ben Simmons in Philly. Trying to figure out that marriage dysfunction will be interesting. And Philly's a team that really over the past 3 or 4 years, people have thought they're right there on the cusp to really kind of make a major move in the Eastern Conference, and they haven't been able to do that. So I'm interested to see what. All right, guys, the last couple things here, wanted to get into some dad life topics and questions. So as I mentioned to Kyle when we started, when we kind of logged on before the show, I'm doing the business casual version of the show tonight, as you can see in my button down here. And it was a busy day and busy weekend for the Draper family. I'll give you a quick rundown. So Friday, we left our house at 8:30 a.m. on Friday morning with the kids. We drove up to Lake House that we're buying in Kentucky. Did that, stayed there, and kind of got everything settled over that Friday night. Saturday, drove back, got the kids home, got them a nap, got them up, got my mother-in-law here, or my mom here, to babysit. And we were going to go to an event. It was like a wedding reception for some friends that got married during COVID. And our kids lost their minds. Like not just like sad mom and dad were leaving, like hysterically hyperventilating, crying. And it, the whole time we're just thinking like, what can we do to calm them down to get this to work? And ultimately we tried a couple of different things, and kudos to my wife. She was able to really kind of get them to calm down eventually. But Kyle, when you're in that moment, and especially we were in a moment where we had to get ready really quickly, had to get out the door. And I mean, literally our son is hyperventilating. What do you guys do to get those sweet little children to calm down and be okay with you leaving them?
I think that question gets answered a different way if you're asking me or my wife. Usually her way wins out. If it was my way, I would just say, I'd kind of walk out the door, wave, and say they'll figure it out. Let them cry it out. Usually it's and we don't have this happen a ton. It happens more dropping off at daycare. But it's really just, hey, we'll be back. It's okay. Whatever. And that tends to be all we need to do.
Yeah. Well, and in all fairness, it was literally like World War III for about half an hour in our household before we left. And my wife got them calmed down. We started getting them fed. We walked out the door, and I texted my mom, and 20 minutes later, everything was fine. And she said they had a great night. But Matt, when you're in those moments and it's super stressful and everybody's stress is through the roof, and, they say you have to lower your voice and lower your, the emotion in your voice to get them to lower theirs. It's, what do you guys do? What have you seen that's worked? And have you had any similar experiences?
Man, so, with my daughter, we have a housekeeper, not a housekeeper. We have a nanny come over twice a week while my wife goes to work. Because of COVID, we're not putting her in daycare right now. Mm-hmm. So this girl comes over and watches the baby, during the day. And then, when I get off work, she goes home. We do the bait and switch typically whenever it's time to leave. Consuelo comes in, and, Campbell's all happy. And then Emma comes in, and she just darts before Campbell can see her. But most of the time it's fine because, the babysitter and Campbell, they get along great.
Yeah. Well, and that was, I think, the frustrating thing for us is it wasn't that we left them with like a stranger. It was my mom, who they've been around a ton, but it was just kind of the perfect storm. We had a really busy weekend, and we had to wake them up from the naps to get them ready to hang out with her before we left. And so it was just, it was a recipe for disaster. We'll go that'll kind of be a perfect segue to our last topic here. Speaking of recipes, you guys have any fighting issues with kids trying to get them to eat things? And Kyle, I know, especially with Jax, it's a completely different conversation, but just trying to get them to eat normal food. Like, for instance, tonight we went over to my mom's house and we're there with my brother and his kids, and we had cheeseburgers and chips, and getting our children to eat a cheeseburger and some potato chips, we had to bribe them with dessert in order to be able to do that. So, Matt, what's it like with you guys trying to fight the good fight on food?
Man, Campbell will eat anything you put in front of her pretty much. It was hilarious. So we were out doing some stuff on Saturday night with my wife and I, and we came back, and my mom was giving Campbell snack, and we gave her goldfish, and we had these multicolored goldfish. So they're green, red, like a neon orange, and then just like orange. And Campbell would not eat the orange ones. She only wanted the red and the green goldfish. So they weren't even goldfish; they were red fish and green fish. But so we came in, and my mom had already picked through all the red and the green ones. There weren't any left, and Campbell was still hungry, and she was mad. So I started eating them, it's like, man, these are good, stuff like that. And Campbell goes nuts when I do stuff like that. And
We're gonna save that sound effect for later episode.
Yeah, definitely. But so that's what gets her to do it, I guess, is like if we try it and she sees it and act like it's the best thing I've ever eaten in my whole life, even though it's just a crummy little goldfish.
Yep. Kyle?
Dip. It doesn't really matter what the dip is. Dip. If they can dip it in some kind of sauce, man, they will eat it. It doesn't matter.
Our kids are very similar to that. Ranch and ketchup go a long way in our house.
And honey mustard.
There you go.
Yeah, Campbell dips her oranges in ketchup.
Ooh.
There it is.
Gross.
Now, Wrigley's a better eater. I mean, if it's green, Wrigley eats it. Kid loves lettuce and broccoli and green beans and Brussels sprouts. And like I said, if it's green, he eats it, which works out well. But his brother, if it's not fried chicken and French fries, he tends to turn his nose up. Unless
he takes after you.
Are you kidding me? You don't get this fat by not eating things. You get this fat by eating everything.
Oh man, well our kid, like our kids have kind of done a 180. So our daughter used to be so picky, and she's really started to branch out. And I think that's probably just because she's getting older. Where our son, who's younger, would eat anything we put in front of him, and now he is the pickiest person in the world. Like I said, I had to dunk his hamburger in ketchup just to get him to eat a cheeseburger. So man, it's crazy. Any last little thing here, and we'll get out of here. Any go-to recipes or foods that are like can't miss with my kids, Matt, or with your child?
She loves some good mac and cheese. So anytime that I just say, you know what, I don't want to have to. I'm not going to, play around with this today. I want her to eat good, which I want her to eat good every day. But we like to be a little adventurous on what we give her. We give her mac and cheese, and she eats that stuff like it's gonna if she doesn't, it's gonna be gone forever.
Yeah, our kids they love some mac and cheese too. Our daughter has since our cereal bracket and our experiment with buying the Final Four cereals. Our daughter loves cereal, so she would eat that 10 times out of 10 any day of the week. Kyle, what about you guys?
If we're just looking for the thing they are going to eat no matter what, it's chicken McNugget Happy Meal from McDonald's. They love that. But I'll tell you what my kids eat that most kids don't eat. So Wrigley will be 6 in November, and Jack just turned 4. But they love sushi. And not like the raw stuff, the deep fried in the tempura sushi. But they'll eat it and eat every bite of it. Yeah. Me and Wrigley went. So on Monday nights, we have this thing called Trail Life, which is kind of like Boy Scouts. And I had to go pick him up and take him to it one night. And Mama was late, and we couldn't all go out to eat together. So I was like, "What do you want?" He wanted sushi, and we went and we got 2 rolls of sushi that he put down, and he helped me eat the lo mein. I mean, I got 2 rolls of sushi and lo mein, and me and him basically split it. He had a whole roll by himself.
That's awesome. We have tried to get our children to eat that sushi, and they will not. TJ says mac and cheese, chicken nuggets, and crawfish. All my kids love crawfish. Our kids both have eaten crawfish. I wouldn't say they loved it, but they both sampled it. Well, guys, we are over our time, but it was a good show. Enjoyed it.
We don't have time limits anymore.
We don't. No, we really don't. But
I have one thing I want to put out.
Matt was ready to go to bed.
Oh, I am. I'm tired. But anyway, I have one thing I want to put out. I've started, doing my outdoor adventure stuff, doing things, cooking wise, going out fishing, and deer season starts in 2 weeks. But anyway. I am going to start probably this week or next. I'm going to film how I smoke my turkeys for Thanksgiving for all of you guys to watch and to listen to. If you guys have any questions on how to do that, I'm happy to help you. Guys, it's real easy to do, so please don't be afraid to try it out.
There we go. Shout out to the Outdoor Dad Life, Kirk Daddy, Barbecue, Kirk's Q, Meat Church, etc., etc.
No, there's no Meat Church. I had a little bit of a falling out with them.
You're repping their shirts. So
I know, and I didn't mean to. It's just that my wife hadn't done the laundry, so that's why.
Oh, the wife hasn't done the laundry. Okay.
I'm
Wow.
kidding. I love you, babe. I'm kidding.
So we will end with that, guys. Y'all, thanks for checking it out. Dad's Watching Sports. We'll see you next week. And y'all take care out there. We'll see you next week.
All right.